Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Life of the Young Funeral Professional. It is so great to see you all, so great for you all to join us. And first and foremost, we want to thank you to all of our wonderful supporters, our family and our friends who have supported this platform in our relaunch and have gotten us as far as we have. We cannot be where we are without you, and so we want to say thank you so very much for everyone that has laid attention to this platform and given us pointers and anything that we need to be successful. We want to thank you. First and foremost, I want to, of course, welcome you all back to another episode. And I'm so glad that we are able to spend some time together tonight. We have such a very dynamic guest. But before we get to him, I want to make sure that everybody is following us on our social media platforms. Like, share, comment, subscribe to everywhere, and send this out to anyone who you think would love to just delve more into our platform. Of course, they can connect with us on Facebook. They can connect with us on Instagram. And we, of course, will do stream through our YouTube and our Facebook pages. So we're so excited about that. Tonight's guest is a young man who we have had the pleasure of meeting recently. He's a very dynamic young man, too. One of the most professional guests that we've had thus far. And he is in the person of Mr. Ramareon Williams, who serves as a funeral attendant at Donald Trimble Mortuary in Atlanta, Georgia. He's going to be joining us very shortly, but let's go ahead and bring him on so we can get right into our session today.
And hey, so, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Welcome to the show. First and foremost, thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
How's everything?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. How are you doing?
Good deal. I'm doing quite all right. I do appreciate you for asking. So just starting off today, just kind of tell us about yourself. For those of you who may not know who you are, just kind of give us a little bit of brief background of you, who you are and what you do, the responsibilities that you may hold, and of course, let everybody know about your age and your grade and all that too.
Sure. Well, how you doing, everybody? My name is Ramareon Williams. I work down at Donald Trimble Mortuary in Atlanta, Georgia, and what I can tell you now is that I've been in the funeral industry for quite some time, but I wasn't always working in the funeral home. I was usually shadow a director somewhere, but I had the blessing to work with Donald Trimble back in July 12th to be exact. And it's been a very great experience. Working there has taught me a lot. I've seen some things that can help me become a better funeral director in the future. Once I am a funeral director, it'll help me become a better one, because they're not only teaching me, but they're showing me how to serve with dignity and also how to hold composure when I'm working with the families and also speaking. And, you know, it's good working there. I love working there. It's a blessing.
Good deal. And that sounds like some very great qualities to have in an employer, especially within this industry. What's something that made you want to be a part of the funeral industry?
So I had a friend that passed in December, and he went down to a funeral home down here, Lester Lackey. And it was a funeral director by the name of Malik Clark. And the way he was talking with the families, the way he just held himself, with good posture. And I loved it about him. And I knew from that day forward, I had already wanted to be a funeral director, because I grew up around the funeral industry. But when I seen him serving, it pushed me more to want to be in this industry and be somewhere on this side and helping serve families that are, grieving. And I talked to him at the cemetery. He gave me a little bit of rundown of what I would need to do to come work and who I would need to speak to. And I did just that. And now what I can tell you is I did not instantly get a job with a funeral home once I first applied. Just because I talked to somebody doesn't mean I'm going to get that job. They can say anything. but their actions speak louder than words. And I didn't get that job. I was on a hunt for a very long time trying to find somewhere to work. And then I finally contacted Donald Trimble, and Miss Yolanda Harris gave me a chance, and I'm grateful for that. She gave me a chance.
That's good. And hello, Miss Harris. We love her. She's a very dynamic woman in this industry. But that's very good that you found a place where you can have the opportunity to learn and grow within this industry. That's a very great thing. And Donald Trimble, we can attest, is good ground. So you are definitely planted in good ground. So I'm sure that you will thrive as you matriculate through the industry. Um, as a young person, I know that you're kind of new to the industry. You're kind of getting your foot in the door. 15, 16 is where we kind of begin actually actively working in the industry. What are some things that you're doing to kind of find balance between being a young person and learning to be a funeral professional?
I kind of mix my age and me being young. I kind of mix it all together. So people at school with me, they don't really know what I do.
Okay.
So I will kind of slide it out there sometimes. The people that do, they like it.
Hmm.
And some of them actually want to do it, but I'm like, hey, it's something you have to sit down and actually think about. It's not something you can go straight into.
Hmm.
But I balance it quite well. And I feel as if I was to expose it out more that I did this, it'll probably bring more attention to younger people to want to come out and actually try it out versus just thinking that just being scared of the dead, honestly. Because a lot of young people can be scared of the dead.
Gotcha. Is there any times where you're like walking around the funeral home where you're like kind of still a little scared of some things, or have you kind of adjusted to it well? The
I've
environment.
adjusted to it well.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. What are some difficulties that you think young people kind of face within the funeral industry, from just based off what you've seen so far?
Mainly being scared of the bodies
Okay.
and them speaking in big crowds because they know that you have to speak to the families in big large crowds,
Hmm.
and they're usually not prepared for that because some people may have stage fright. But it's all about your personality and how you look at things and your perspective on things.
Gotcha. I like that. Positive perspective helps
Mhm.
to get through the day, helps to get through the week rather. Um, so you're kind of getting acclimated to the industry, right? So you're
Mhm.
learning kind of how things work, how the flow of the week goes. As far as getting getting adjusted to the schedule, is that something that's been kind of hard as a young person?
No, not really. I actually like working. If I
Okay.
could get in during the week, I will be there every day.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Be there every day. Y'all
Every day.
hear that? This young man likes working. Um, on the topic of mentorship, who is someone that you kind of look up to within the funeral service? I know you mentioned the gentleman that you met in the cemetery, but is there anybody else that you kind of started to kind of sit under to kind of learn from?
So I really did. I really do look up to Malik Clark because I see he works at a lot of funeral homes,
Okay,
and Bernard Phillips for sure, and then a couple of funeral directors there at Donald Trimble.
gotcha. Okay, and how has that relationship dynamic been with you being kind of? Are you the baby on staff?
Yes, the
So,
youngest.
okay. So how does that tell us about that dynamic as far as between you and the other staff members?
So when most of the staff members are working, I would try to sit beside them and try to ask him, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? They say I'm very ambitious when I ask to do a lot of things because if I see something that I think I can do, I'll ask to do it. So when they're back there prepping the bodies, I'll be right there over them. Like when
Got
Marcus is back there getting the bodies ready to go for the first viewing, I'm normally standing right over him. Like, okay, oh, I see this. This side is kind of looking different from this side, or this cheek doesn't look like this cheek. So I'm basically over them like I'm their boss, and I'm not their boss.
Gotcha. Just the student, but
Yeah.
very intuitive. That's a very good quality to have within this industry for sure. Have you set any goals for yourself within the industry, like where you would want to see yourself in the future?
Yes, I know for a fact once I graduate high school, I want to open my own funeral home and go ahead and go to Gupton Jones down here in Atlanta.
Okay, gotcha. And have you connected with them to kind of see what that process looks like, transition from high school to
Yes,
the
so one of our funeral directors by the name of Khadija, she works at Gupton Jones. She's the dean there. and she works at our funeral home also. So I talked to her a few times. She let me know, okay, just talk to her and we can get everything together.
That Miss McDaniels, right?
I think that's what it is.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I believe we've met her before for sure. Um, Oftentimes people think that because they see the industry, right, that they know everything that goes on behind closed doors. But what are some important things that people should keep in mind before they decide to take part in the funeral industry?
You have to have a positive home. Having a positive home and working inside of a funeral home, you're gonna see some things that may get into your head, but going back home, that should be a place for your mind to be clear. So having a stable household, being able to live with the things that you see in the funeral home, and being able to hold yourself together. And you have to hold your emotions because you can't be standing up there by the casket crying also with the family because you're the one that has to be strong for the family. So
Gotcha.
pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So making sure that we stay strong, that is a very good point. Because a lot of times, a lot of us can be kind of emotional too when it comes to the services and being there, especially when it's like a small child or the circumstances surrounding the death have been tragic. So that's a very important thing to maintain, that we're just making sure that we're the strong ones for them. Have you noticed in your time working in the industry, is it hard to kind of maintain that composure while you're out on services?
No, not when I'm at the services. Usually when I'm back at the funeral, I could be by myself somewhere, like there in the back or in the viewing rooms, because I think we had a child one time around 5,
Hmm.
and it was pretty hard for me
Gotcha.
because he didn't get to experience life.
Mhm.
So it was pretty hard, but I try to let all of that out there. Then once we get to the church, you have to be sure.
Gotcha. Love that. As far as kind of getting through the day, right? You're on the service. Well, it's been a day of serving. You've been out on services. You finished for the day. What does that wind down period look like for Ramareon?
Sitting inside the back office talking junk.
Okay, sitting beside the back office talking junk. Love that. Love that. And as you grow older, what is some of the most important things that you think that will be a part of your duties as a funeral director?
Mainly having to when there's a family coming in and they want big full couch, 30 flowers, everything, but they don't have money for it, you still have to let them see those things because you just can't say, oh, if you don't have money for this, you can't see this. No, that's not how they go. You have to let them see it. You have to offer them some type of payment plan, and you also have to keep, talking with them, making sure everything's still going well. Because at the end of the day, they're still a grieving family. They want the best for their deceased loved one. So you just can't throw them under the bus because they don't have enough money to purchase what they want. You have to also improvise something for them.
Hmm. And have you seen, as far as being in on the arrangements, have you seen like an effective process where that can be done, where you can show? Because
I've seen
sometimes
it.
will come in and they'll want the Aretha Franklin funeral, but won't have the Aretha Franklin budget. So,
Right.
how do you kind of break that down to? How would you break that down to a family as far as like presenting them with their options?
Right. So you just can't go straight into it. So you have to just be like, hey, I understand you want this, you want that. But what I can do, I can give you a cheaper offer. Same color casket. It just won't be an 18 gauge. You have to get a 20 gauge. You'll have to
Hmm.
go. You have to kind of bring your status down a little bit. We can still send him home the way you want to send him home. But you still have to understand that you don't have the right amount of money.
Gotcha. Good deal. So I'm a grieving family member. I'm
Mm-hmm.
coming to see you. I'm at Ramarion D. Williams Funeral Home.
R.D. Williams funeral. R.D. Williams mortuary.
R.D. Williams Mortuary. Got it. What is the first thing that I would experience as a consumer walking through
You're gonna
your
you're gonna come in. Gonna see a nice picture of me firstly. I'm gonna come greet you because I already have it how I want my funeral home ran. I will
Okay.
make sure I'm greeting all of my families before the director comes out there or whoever's going to be working with the arranger or anything. I'm going to greet you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to take you back to my conference room and we're going to have a conversation first. I may not
Okay.
help with your arrangements, but I will be sitting in the entire time making sure my director or my arranger is doing the right thing. Because
Gotcha.
a lot of funeral homes may have a nasty arranger who just leaves with attitude. We don't want that. We need positive attitudes right now because look, you're dealing with a grieving family, so you just can't talk to them any type of way and think that it's okay. No, that's not how that works. Just because they're broke or not, they're not fortunate enough to have the money they're willing to spend or want to spend. You can't just throw them under the curb and throw them to the side like that. They're
Gotcha.
still human.
Gotcha. Now tell us about. I know. I'm sure with Donald Trimble Mortuary, you've seen a plethora of different religions and different family members, different families from different backgrounds. What has that experience been like as far as getting to know the different religions and knowing what is required for each of them?
Well, I haven't seen other religions yet, but we have done a Nigerian man before,
Okay.
and he had the kind of the robe, like it's a robe that he wore and the hat. I don't want to say the name of because I don't want to mess it up and mess up their religion. And they had a long service, but they got out of there quick. But at the cemetery, they had like another type of service. They did the dirt, and I've never seen it before. But I didn't know they did did the committal. I didn't know they did that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess since they were also Christian Nigerians, they did our committal that we will normally do, our traditional committal with the flower, and they also did dirt. And then they began to have another prayer service. The preacher preached again. He prayed a few times, and they sung a song. They sung a song while we were standing at the casket while closing, and then after they sung another song for like I think 30 minutes. And then at the cemetery, they began to do the same thing. And this is a fraternity that's about to be next. Yesterday, the 33 Masons, one of their brothers passed away, and they march in like clergy people. They march in like clergy people, and they turn the lights off. I've never seen it before. They turned the lights off. So I was standing in the front of the chapel, and when he lifted his arm up like this with I think the stick, I turned the lights off, all the lights off, and they kept the two lamps on beside the casket on, and they began to come in. I think reading a scripture like we would do, and then they stood around the casket on the pulpit, and then they started. I don't want to say role playing because I don't want to be disrespectful to the fraternity, but they started basically like reading a book but mimicking it in actions.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty interesting to me. I liked it, but it was different, very different.
Gotcha. Good deal. Now, as far as prep prep room work to the actual front of house arrangement services and all of that, which do you prefer and why?
I like. Hmm, that's a tough question. I like being back there watching them prep the bodies because you see the family. We see something the family doesn't get to see.
Mm-hmm.
We see them before the makeup. We see them before the clothing. We see them before everything. And being able to see the transitions of how they look back there in the embalming room or the dressing room versus how they look now, it makes me happy because now they look at peace. Back there, I don't want to say miserable, but they just didn't look. It's not something you'll want to see.
Gotcha, because it's where the magic happens. Like
Right.
Raheem
Like just
said,
like Raheem said, is where the magic happens.
yeah,
But once
kind of brings the story together to bring the loved one back to a more viewable state. It's a
right,
very amazing thing what we do as far as funeral professionals, especially embalmers. My hat goes off to them because they see things that we
definitely.
don't, that we're not privy to all the time. They do things that many of us probably won't be able to do. But it's very good that you get a chance to sit under quality funeral directors and quality embalmers to make sure that you're not only learning things the right way, but you're also learning things that'll help you in the future as far as how to deal with the front of house and the back of house and how to balance both. That's a pretty amazing and thing for a young person like you to find that sort of environment. What are some things that you think will help you be successful as you matriculate through your journey?
Me standing right there watching them work. Me watching our funeral directors do what they do.
Gotcha. So always being in a place to learn from them.
Hmm.
That's good. That's a very good thing. Now, what is your favorite part about working services, and kind of tell us about like your first experience working one, like the
So my
very.
first service, my very first service, it we it was at a nice church. It was a very nice church right there in Latonia, and we the family was very hurt. They were hurt. They were very hurt. But my favorite part about that service was they let me, our director, Jeff, Jeff let me do a lot. I wasn't expected to do a lot because, hey, I'm new. But Jeff let me do a lot at that funeral. And I was very appreciative to that. So that service will forever be my favorite service. And especially the people that I was working with, both of the Jeffs I worked with and David Hall, that was a great crew to work with that day.
Okay, got you. Did you find yourself nervous standing in front of all those people, kind of doing what you
Well,
do?
no, because I used to take theater. So I have
Oh,
a very good personality and I'm not really a stage fright type of person.
okay, got you.
But when I spoke at another funeral during the closing at the cemetery, I had a little bit of, my chest was beating
Got you.
a little fast, but hey, I got it done. I didn't show my
Absolutely.
emotions and I made sure the family understood what I was saying, making sure that, hey, I'm not the one that's grieving right now. So I have to put my emotions to the side and let you grieve
Got
and
you.
give my closing.
Got you. And as far as the service side is concerned, how can your attention to detail contribute to families and the loved ones that you serve?
Well, behind the scenes, there is a lot of things that could go wrong with the casket. A
Okay.
lot of things. A casket could potentially drop at the bottom where the springs are, and you can't bring that body back up. So you have to improvise. So you will have to. I don't want to say this. Well, what we had to do a few times, what I had to do, not working at Donald Trump, but somewhere else, we had to basically stuff under to lift it up. And sometimes with those flowers, you have to really pay attention to those flowers
Mm.
because one flower could be crooked and leaning the other way, and the other flower could be leaning one way. One flower could be over there looking on Candler Road, and the other flower could be looking on Boulder Crest. So you have to make sure those are straight, and also you have to really, really pay attention to how your whole setup is all together.
Got you. Because a lot of times we don't realize it often, but people will pay attention to the details. Um,
They really
as a
will.
matter of fact, I had a family member that I lost, my great grandmother actually, when she
Hmm.
passed away, and we closed her casket for for the final time. We were going through the service, and there was a rose petal on the floor. That's the only thing that I really focused on because the attention to detail is right there. As far as you were saying with the setup, though, the display and making sure that everything's symmetrical, making sure that everything's pointing the same way. That is definitely something that is very important because we don't realize that people actually pay attention to the way and the quality in which the things are done. But what are three characteristics that every young professional should have while aiming to be a part of this industry?
Repeat that one more time. My microphone went out.
What are three characteristics that you think young people such as yourself, such as me, should have while aiming to be a part of this industry?
Okay, great. You have to firstly have a okay personality. I'm not gonna say a great personality because not everyone's gonna have a great personality.
Mm-hmm.
A okay personality, knowing how to speak, and knowing how to serve with dignity. Really, the only three you really need to be a great person in the funeral industry.
Gotcha. Now break down that serve with dignity part. What does that mean to you as far as you are RD Williams, you're coming to serve on the family. How does RD Williams serve with dignity?
Well, firstly, we're not going to walk up to the casket after the service with our suits unbuttoned. We're going to button our suits up and we're going to hold our jacket right here on this cuff, right here. And we're going to walk up in a straight line. We're not going to walk down that aisle any type of way, crooked. We're going to make sure we're right beside each other and we're going to go to our separate sides of that casket the right way. And with leading out going to the church, we're not going to let that casket drift side to side. Because, I've been to funerals where they're pushing the casket out and the casket is drifting. You have to know how to control that casket.
Mhm.
Like we've had funerals where there's slopes. We can't just let that casket slide anyway, because worst case scenario, that casket can fall off that truck. So
Mhm.
you being able to just pay attention to the little things and do the little things right, that's serving with dignity to me.
Mhm.
And not letting, you can have a family come in with a nasty attitude. She can talk to you any type of way. Granted, it's not respectful that she's talking to you any type of way. But at the end of the day, you're the employee and you're also serving, and you're also the face of a funeral. So you're the professional here. She's the grieving mother, father, grandma, auntie, cousin. So at
Gotcha.
the end of the day, it's not okay she's talking to you like that. But you're the professional here. So you
You
have to keep your character and your face alive.
and you actually just took one of the questions right out of my brain. You're as far how is it kind of dealing with somebody that may be going through grief, that may be a grieving family member who's going through a loss. This may be the first time that they've lost somebody. And you meet them and they have somewhat of a negative disposition towards you specifically. How do you kind of remove yourself from that situation where you're trying to see it from their point of view to ultimately get the job done?
Well, when I worked a funeral, I don't want to say how many weeks ago, because they can go back and count. Oh, my loved one did this that week, so he may be talking about me. When I did a funeral a while back, there was a man, and we were getting ready to leave before the church to get ready. Yeah, getting ready to leave to go to the church, and he asked me. He came up with. He was very hostile with me for one. He came up with a lot of bass in his voice. Where is my auntie? I say, well, excuse me, sir, how are you doing? Good morning. And he said, good morning. I say, now, what is your auntie name? What family are you with? Because we had more than one funeral that day. We had about 8.
Mm.
I say, what family are you with? He tells me the name of the family. I say, okay, the family's in the back parking lot. We're getting ready to line up to get ready to go to the church. I'm not going to be with the family. I'm going to the church. I'm not the funeral director, so I need you to talk with the funeral director. I said, the
Mhm.
funeral director hasn't gotten here yet, but she is on the way. He say, so why am I even talking to you? You ain't even a nobody. I say, well, sir, I am still a part of the staff over here at Donald Trimble. So any questions or concerns that you may have, I can answer some of your questions. But as far as where is the mother and what time we're leaving for the church, I can't tell you that because I'm leaving before you all, and I'm on a different assignment than what you're asking me for. You're asking above my pay raise. And I dealt with him pretty well. I let him know, hey, maybe you can check in the restroom, check down the hallway somewhere. She's probably getting ready. Go check with her. And I walked away from the situation because I knew it wasn't going to. I knew me talking to him more was just it was going to get worse and worse. And I didn't want to be in that situation, so I excused myself from that situation altogether.
Gotcha. So learning to kind of when it's a good time to pull somebody above you into that situation so they can effectively handle it. Um, that's a definitely a good skill to have, knowing when to remove yourself from those types of situations. Because at the end of the day, of course, people are going through different things, right? So we're not always clear on what may be going on, but having that extra backbone to help you is definitely a great thing while we're out on services, while we're out in the community, and even in the arrangement room, dealing with people. Which leads me to my next question: if you can learn any skill, either within this industry or without, what is a skill that you would like to learn, so that way you can use that effectively in your future?
Well, once I graduate high school, my skill is to learn how to embalm beautifully. I want my
Okay.
bodies to look alive. I want my bodies to look pleasant. When you see that body, I want you to know, R.D. Williams did that body.
Hmm.
I want my name all over that body.
Gotcha. So you want to be an embalmer?
Yes, I've told a few embalmers back there I don't want to be back here. I'll be back here when I'm a student and I have to do all these 58 embalmings. But once I'm done with that, you will not see me back here again. But I've sat down and you know, talked to myself, and I was like, oh, it may not be so bad because one day and the bomber might get up and walk out. I don't want to do this no more, and I have to go back there and fill in and do that.
Hmm.
So I'm always ready for, you know, something that's gonna, it's not gonna make me uncomfortable, but something that I know I don't want to do, but I always have to put myself out there and offer that. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about making this business grow and expanding what I know, expanding it a lot more.
Gotcha. Good deal. Now, within this industry, of course, no one is perfect, right? We all will have very great deals. And thank you, Miss Ashley. We're going to circle back to that. What's a mistake that you may have made just simply not knowing that you kind of learned from during your time in the industry?
Well, with me, I kind of forget the names of the people that are. This day, it was very packed. We had, I think it was bodies in every single last one of the embalming. I mean, not embalming rooms, inside of the viewing rooms.
Hmm.
And it was very chaotic in the lobby that day. So a lady came up and asked me to see her mother. I said, okay, what is your mother's name? She said a first name. We don't normally go by first names. We normally go by last names because we normally call people by their last names. So for instance, your just like your last name. If you're coming to see someone in your family, we would say your last name and that's it.
Gotcha.
So she said the first name. I'm like, okay, maybe I know. I think she's over here. I made a mistake and took her to the wrong parlor.
Oh, goodness.
And she said, it's not mama. I said, oh my God. I said, okay, ma'am, I'm so sorry. What was your mother's name again? And she said the last name. I said, okay, I'm so sorry. So her husband understood. He seen that I was young. When me being young is an excuse for me to get something like that messed up. So
Hmm.
her husband definitely understood, but I heard her back there behind me on the phone talking about me. And she was an older woman, so it is what it is. I made the mistake. Now I have to live with the consequence. I took her back to the viewing parlor. Granted, we did move a lot of people around that day, and her mom was previously in that parlor, but we had to move people around because her family was a bigger family. So we moved her to the biggest parlor that we have. We moved her inside of there. But me forgetting that and a lot of people being there, I made the mistake of taking her to the wrong place.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So just making sure that we have, so learning from that, you just making sure that you have the right name, you know where everybody is.
I
So,
try to be more professional with it, without keeping the clipboard in my hand. But
mhm,
yesterday, that clipboard was in my hand.
gotcha. Yeah, for sure. You have 8 services. Is that kind of hard to balance throughout the day?
Hmm.
Okay,
Definitely.
gotcha. Good deal. Now, one of our viewers asked a question, which is very important for young people. Are your parents supportive of your career choice, or how does your family feel about you wanting to be a mortician?
Well, my mother is very supportive of it, but my father, he doesn't think I should pursue this industry. But like I said to him, and like I said to my mother to tell him, it's not about you, and it's not about how you feel about me working in this industry. It's something that I'm not gonna say it makes me happy, but it's something that I know I can see myself in the future, and I'm already learning from it. So why drop what I'm doing just because you feel that I won't be I won't be able to focus with it, or it's gonna mess my head up some type of way. If it hasn't messed my head up this long, I'm pretty sure I'll be fine in the long run.
Gotcha. Good deal. Good deal. Um, what does your day to day kind of look like as you're preparing for a service?
Well, I actually wake up at 6 o'clock. My report time is usually 9 or 8, depending on the service. Usually probably 9 or 8. Wake up at 6 o'clock. Get to the funeral home around 7:25 ish. And I'm usually the first person there. If not, well, the car wash man is usually the man who washes the cars. He's usually there first, and I'm usually walking in the funeral home when it's all dark. There's no lights on. So I'll go in there and turn the lights on. Oh, I will stop at Quick Trip first. Got to make sure I can stop at Quick Trip, get my Powerade and my egg and cheese biscuit,
Gotcha.
and then I get to the funeral home, turn the lights on if they're not already turned on, and basically sit in the office and wait for the director I'm serving with that day to arrive at the funeral home. Or some people from that crew that I'm working with comes to the funeral home, and then we'll get the body into the car. And I'm usually in the hearse, and me and the hearse driver will go on down the road to the church, get the funeral set up, and wait for our director to get there.
Gotcha. Good deal. Um, if you can give a word of advice to someone your age who is aspiring to take part in the industry, or says, "Hey, I want to be like Ramareon. I want to be working at Donald Trumbull. I want to work in a funeral home." Period. What are some things that you would tell people that are your age that are coming up with you in the industry?
Don't be scared to contact a funeral home and ask for a job interview or even to shadow a director, because you being scared isn't going to get you anywhere. No one can read your mind, and no one understands how you feel unless you're physically talking about it. You have to reach out. You can't wait for someone to come to you, or if you have a friend that's working in the funeral industry, you can't always ask them or depend on them to get you a job somewhere, because you don't know if your friend could be jealous of you. You don't know if your friend could possibly not even want you in the industry because they feel as if you may be better than them in the industry. You have to do things on your own, because I have people that I know and family members that work in the industry, and I didn't ask them for anything. I didn't ask them to help me get a job. I didn't ask them to let me talk to their boss or anything. I didn't ask them for nothing. Like I told Miss Yolanda when I first came to Trimble for the interview, I have family in that that's in the business, and I wanted to do my own thing. She asked me why not haven't asked any of them to help me get a job. I was like, I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to say that I did this myself, and not anyone else having the privilege to say, "Oh, I helped him get this job. Oh, I got him there. I got such and such." No, that's not how this is gonna go. Not with my name, you know.
Gotcha. So learning to kind of stand on your own, that in that sort of what's the word I'm looking for? That like independence that you have given yourself to step out on your own thing. That's a very big thing. That's a very brave thing. But it's also a very good thing because you're gonna learn a lot as you become. You're gonna learn a lot as you grow older within the industry, and as far as learning how to stand for yourself and stand for what you believe in, as long as it's ethical and you're doing right by the Lord and His people, it's definitely something that will take you very far within this industry. Raheem asked, "Do you believe that being a part of the industry caused you to mature faster than the average young person, or is causing you to mature?"
Definitely, I like an old man now. I use old man lingo now. Before I started working, I would use old man, terms, but now it's getting worse.
Gotcha.
I wear suspenders with my suit now, so that should say a lot. Me wearing suspenders with a belt, suspenders with a belt,
Suspenders with a belt. Oh my. Granddaddy said you gotta have one or the other, but you pick a struggle.
suspenders with a belt. They get on me all the time. You got on suspenders with a belt. I know you're not talking. I say, well, I gotta keep my pants up somehow.
Gotcha. Good deal. As far as you growing older, what does um you're 16 now, right?
Mhm.
What is 17, 18, 19, 20 kind of look like for you right now? What are your long-term goals for as far as getting through the industry, getting licensed? What does that look like for you?
Being at Gupton Jones for sure, and being at Donald Trimble for sure. I know for a fact I want to be a director at Donald Trimble, and once I've accomplished that, I do, and some probably, let's see, I graduate high school in 2027. So let's see, 2030 or 2035, I can say I should have my own funeral.
Okay, that's a good goal to have. 2035. Let's see that.
I should
Uh,
have my own funeral.
okay, and then as far as getting through school, what are some things that you think will help you as far as your studies are concerned?
Just paying attention, honestly. Just paying attention, because oh Lord, I wish I didn't have to go to school. I have to go. Just paying attention in class, making sure my school life is set before rushing into my work life, because my work life is going to always be there. But with high school, you can't get your high school days back. So I have to make sure I'm still there, making sure I'm still paying attention, and making sure I'm making the best out of my high school career.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Good deal. Make sure that you're putting yourself in position to kind of achieve and keep hitting those goals. It's a very good thing. Well, we definitely have faith in you here at on the show, on our
Thank you.
platform for sure. You are a very well-rounded young man, very respectable young man, and your parents have done a very good job with you. Moreover, the ground that you've planted yourself in, very rich with resources, very rich with qualities that you're going to need to succeed. And so we're so grateful to your work family for tending to you because you're going to be a very dynamic young man in this industry as long as you stick to everything that you said as far as making sure that you're doing what you need to do to achieve your goals, making sure that you're staying focused and staying rooted within the principles of this industry. It's going to take you very far, and I, for one, am excited to see exactly how far you go. But the sky is definitely the limit, and you seem like you're definitely off to a very great start for sure.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Well, at this time, is there anything else that you want to share with the community, share with our audience before we end our time today?
Well, what I usually tell the people, when God calls your number, make sure you call Donald Trump's number. Make sure you call our number.
Make sure you call Donald Trumbull's number when the Lord calls your name. Gotcha. Well, that is all the time that we have today. We want to certainly thank Mr. Ramarion Williams for joining us today. If there's anything that we can do as a platform to support you on your journey to matriculating, to be a licensed funeral director and embalmer, anything at all, please don't hesitate to let us know. We are here for you, and we are so glad to have you joining the ranks of our family as far as um, being a young funeral professional in this industry who is going to make some very dynamic moves. I can tell for sure.
You're very welcome. I am very truly blessed to be on this show. I'm very glad that y'all replied to my email.
Most definitely, most definitely. But we definitely want to thank, of course, all of our team, Miss Tiffany, who helps us to run our background, Raheem, our visionary, who is definitely doing a great job of leading our team. We want to also make note that we are searching for move forward in the fall months as the fall season is coming upon us. We are searching for our next guests. So if you know a rising young undertaker that should be featured in an episode in the future, please DM or email us and let us know who they are, along with the best way to contact them. The best ways to get in contact with us and our team would be through our Facebook channel, our Instagram, as well as our email, the Young Funeral Professionals, on all platforms. Additionally, we have an announcement to make. I am so excited to announce something that me and Raheem have been working on. September is back to school month for the life of the young funeral professionals. So, class is going to be in session. I do not want you all to miss this dynamic period that we're going to be having next month, where we're going to hear from some of the industry educators. We're going to hear from some of the leaders within the industry who are helping to drive education forward. As we know, becoming a part of this industry, education should be at the forefront of everything that a funeral professional should do. Even not just funeral professionals, but professionals in general to become disciplined in a thing. And so we want to make sure that we're bringing education to the forefront and we're shining a light on that sector of this industry. As our platform gains traction, we're trying to aim to bring education back to the forefront. And while it's great to be gifted in the area, the true power lies within the discipline to gain and master the knowledge thereof. And so we're going to speak to a few dynamic people within the industry, and we are so excited to announce that class is in session. So our first episode will air on the 8th of September. We are going to be taking a little bit of a break because I know that Labor Day is coming up next week. So we will not be going live. But on September 8th, I cannot wait for you all to meet the dynamic gentleman that is going to kick off our back to school month. And until we meet again, until we meet next week, I'm sorry, in 2 weeks, thank you all so very much for joining us. And until we go live again. And until we're able to join each other again, may you all be safe and have a very blessed and safe Labor Day weekend next week. Celebrate, but don't forget about us and come back to see us on September 8th. God bless and good night.